this is Jennifer Vanderbeek, Imagine Artist in Residence, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how I created this nature-inspired art journal page. So I love Wisteria. It's one of my favorite flowers, and it probably says something about me that two of my favorite flowers are both in vines that some people consider nuisances. But anyway, when the wisteria in the backyard blooms, it never stays for long. It seems like a rain shower always comes within a week or two and wipes all of it out. So this year, when it was still full and beautiful, I picked a cluster of the wisteria and I pressed it between the pages of my art journal under several heavy cookbooks and left it there for a little while. And I'm like, okay, now what? So I decided to make a botanical art journal page inspired by the wisteria. Because I want kind of true colors in this, and my art journal pages are more off-white or natural colored paper, I went ahead and I used a good coat of gesso applied with a palette knife onto my paper to start with. And once that was dry, I started layering my sprays. I used Fireworks in New Sprout, Fireworks in Lilac Posies, and then also Lilac Walnut ink. I put on one layer, I dried it a little bit, and then I blotted it off with a clean sheet of white paper, and then I added more, and I'm going to use my heat tool to speed up the drying for a bit, but then I'm still going to blot some of it off. Part of it is impatience, and part of it is to get an interesting little texture in the background. The fireworks sprays give a nice shimmer. The walnut ink gives an amazing depth with that lilac in the corners, and all in all, it's creating a good base for my page. Now, I want to be able to work on this and not worry about picking up or moving any of the shimmer, so I'm going to lay down a layer of clear creative medium, again with my palette knife. Now, this is going to mix a little bit. I just think that makes it even more kind of watercolory or just kind of interesting, and it's giving it a really nice, pretty shine. I'm also using the grip that the creative medium provides to adhere my pressed flowers. I'm going to set them into the not quite dry creative medium, and then I'm going to go over them with another layer because I want to make sure that these bad boys are stuck down. So I'm going to be pretty generous with this layer. I don't want to scrape too much and move my flowers at all. And then I'm going to kind of get it almost dry again before I add some embellishments in the way of some embossing powders. I'm using Vintage Plum and Verdigris and a little bit of white in there too. And I am just kind of sprinkling it around the corners and over the wisteria. And it's not gonna stay. It's not gonna be like a heavy coat. I'm not trying to cover it all, but I do kind of want to add some flecks of color and some texture to it. And then when I heat it up with my heat tool, some of it's gonna move around, but others, it's gonna create this little, this kind of interesting pebbly look around it that I thought was pretty cool. You can go back and dab on a little bit more creative medium, or you can use a pigment ink or a Versamark to concentrate some more of the embossing powder in certain areas, or you can just go with it. And then, once again, I want to add one more protective layer for the whole thing, so I'm going to add another layer of my clear creative medium. To embellish my wisteria branch, I am using a white opaque pen to add some highlights along the top of the stem and the little flower buds. And I'm doing some just little dotted doodles with the pen. And then for another layer of interest, I'm adding some splatters of Irresistible. And then I'm going to use a memento marker in my favorite color, elderberry, to do some writing on the page. And the brush tips work wonderfully on the creative medium coated pages. But I have found that it might clog a little bit on the bullet nibs, so I used a different marker to do my final words. I love how this has turned out. I just kind of just like to look at it and kind of run my fingers over the texture. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you've gotten some ideas or inspiration for how to incorporate nature into your art journals in the future. And as always, for more tips and inspiration, please point your browser to imaginecrafts.com.